Hey there, this is Stan Stolniker with Hub Culture, and we're joining another Cities Innovation session. This time joining me is Dan Tarman, the CCO of eBay, Chief Communications Officer, and Chris Kuechenmeister, who's the Vice President of Communications at Pepsico, two of the biggest brands, not only in America, but in the world. Today we're going to be talking a little bit about innovation as it applies to your companies. Thanks so much for joining us here for our little fireside chat. Both of these companies are obviously very well-known brands. And you guys are responsible for the communication strategies for these brands. What would you say are the first things that you kind of think about when you get up in the morning and you want to communicate the messages of these companies? Start with Dan.
Well, from our perspective, eBay is a global brand, and our focus is continually driving with great clarity what our brand stands for, the value proposition that we deliver for our customers around the world. And so the first thing what I do when I wake up in the morning is see if there's any problems, because that's the nature of being the head of communications. But more than anything, it's how to drive our brand narrative forward and be a storyteller for the eBay brand globally.
Okay. And Chris?
Yeah, for me, what I think about every day is our portfolio of brands. And so each of those brands has a distinct personality and positioning, and we try to bring those to life through communications in conjunction with our marketing colleagues. And so we're thinking every day about what is that target consumer thinking about, what's going on in their lives, how does our brand fit into that, and what's the narrative that we can bring to the forefront that actually matches up with that, so that the brand is extremely relevant and coming at that consumer from multiple touch points.
So we all know that technology is really rapidly changing the way that we communicate the messages. So I assume that you probably have some core messages that you try to get across many different mediums. How do you actually manage that? How do you keep the brand messaging consistent when you have so many different outlets, which frankly include the crowd?
So, from our perspective, we take a content-centric approach. So rather than starting first with the channels that we communicate through, we think about what is the content that we're communicating, what is the messaging, and then we look at what channels we should be activating in order to engage different stakeholders. And we do it with great clarity, as I said earlier, and consistently. We also tailor our approach and our messaging to be appropriate for different channels. So for instance, if you're going to do something on social media, often having a video or a visual component to your storytelling helps to create greater engagement with that content. Whereas if you're doing something that's an announcement or a press release, you might take a different approach. So we start with the message, we start with the narrative, and then we think about the appropriateness of each channel and what's the best way for stakeholders to engage the content through that channel.
For us, the thing that we really try and do is again, go back to what those individual brand purposes or visions or positioning elements are, and build a strategy that technology fits into. We don't try and go after something and say, what's our Facebook strategy? What's our Snapchat strategy? What's our augmented reality strategy? We figure out what's the brand strategy, what's the story the brand's trying to tell, and what are the appropriate channels that we leverage to actually accomplish that to the consumer that's being targeted. So very much like what he's talking about as far as developing the content strategy, but we really try and make sure that we're not going after a channel because it's hot. We go after a channel because it makes sense for what the story is that we're trying to tell and who we're trying to reach it to.
And the way that all this gets analyzed is changing. I know, Dan, I was up at eBay just a couple weeks ago, and you showed me this incredible touchscreen wall that's showing real-time analytics of what people are looking for at eBay. And I think the number one trending thing that day was a Ford Bronco, which was amazing because Ford had just announced the new Bronco. This has changed how people communicate and how they evaluate the metrics of the communications. What's eBay doing? Because you have so much data just pumping in. What are you guys doing with that data?
So it's a great question. There's an increasing trend towards what's called data journalism. And so doing storytelling through the use of data and data visualization. And as you said, we have an almost infinite amount of data. We're a data-obsessed company, as you might suspect. And so we harness that data on a regular basis to help us tell stories. So if it's the holiday season, what's trending during the holidays? We've done things during the NFL playoffs in the United States to see which parts of the country are buying what merchandise of different teams. And then it helps us tell the story about eBay by using data, but making the data human and accessible and relevant given a seasonal moment or a cultural moment or just an overarching message about something that's trending in the world.
And Chris, you guys have a lot of sales data that come from everything from supermarkets to online. How are you guys using that to figure out where you're going to go next.
Yeah, I mean, data, we have a variety of data sources, you're right, through our retail partners, through social media, through other channels, and what we try to do is paint a clear picture out of a lot of different things and have a very direct and succinct strategy. And so it becomes a challenge when there are multiple data points. But the more points that you're having, the more granular you can get. And so we're trying to really look at how do I talk to not just this huge group of people here, but how can I talk to John? How can I talk to Jane in a way that matters to her? And so we're starting to move in that direction.
Okay. Let's talk for a quick second about cross-leverage, because in a weird way, both of you have many different products. Over at Pepsi, you have everything from Doritos to Pepsi to Safra, the amazing hummus we were just talking about a minute ago. And then at eBay, you kind of have millions of different products because they come from your client base. How do you guys cross-reference and use each of these wonderful brands or products to help boost what's going on with the big picture?
Well, so at eBay, we do have over 1 billion items on our platform, which makes us probably one of the world's largest stores, if you will. And we harness that inventory in order to provide an offering to customers. Sometimes we'll offer brands that people are looking for. Other times it can be what's called more long tail or unique items. And so, from our perspective, it depends on whatever you want on eBay you can find. And I imagine that we have plenty of products that are from the Frito-Lay brand if it's this soft packaged goods and non-perishables. And so, it really, from our perspective, just depends on what someone might be looking for. But our value proposition is to offer people a huge breadth of selection and inventory at different price points.
So I wanted to talk a little bit about cybersecurity in a couple minutes because I think that's a really relevant topic right now, especially this morning. There have been things going on today that have been very interesting. But before we get over to that, let's talk about a little bit about the future. So augmented reality and virtual reality were brought up on your main panel, and they're really changing the way that consumers are going to experience almost everything. So I'd love to hear, where do you see your brands in, say, 2, 3, 4 years' time with regard to those things? Because you can imagine incredibly immersive experiences with PepsiCo products and incredibly immersive shopping experiences around how you guys sell online. So maybe start with Chris.
Sure. So I think it's a big opportunity, and it's an area we've been tapping into a little bit at the brand level and at the corporate level, because to your point, you can create immersive experiences for your consumers or your stakeholders that you would never be able to create. One great example for us is the Doritos brand. Doritos is a bold brand, targets young guys, and it does a lot in entertainment, gaming, that sort of space, because it's one of those universal territories that applies to anybody anywhere. So we've been looking at how do you create immersive experiences using augmented reality and popular musical artists, or how do you go into a venue like South by Southwest and take that experience with the Doritos presence and take it broadly so that more people that aren't there can actually benefit from it. At the corporate level, we use things like virtual reality to help tell some of our corporate stories, especially if you think about sustainability as a space and some of the good things that PepsiCo is doing around the world to help different communities, different people, underserved communities. We've used augmented reality to tell those stories at times to really help internally our associates understand all the good that we're doing, but also external stakeholders that might not have a view to all those things. They might just think of PepsiCo as a food and beverage company, but they might not think of us as a company that's having a positive impact in the places where we do business.
And do you foresee perhaps like an immersive PepsiCo experience world or Doritos experience once you have like Oculus and Samsung VR and HoloLens from Microsoft really hitting the market? Do you see like immersive environments for these brands, or is it more about placing the brands in those kind of emerging environments?
I think the benefit of that territory is anything can happen, and so that's the way we look at it. So I don't know right here sitting in the seat today if it's going to be a completely immersive Doritos experience or if it's a product placement. But I think the exciting part is anything is possible, and that's what we're looking at, is how do we take that kind of experience and again link it back to what makes sense for a brand. How does it tell the brand story? How does it further the narrative? And how does it serve our consumer in a way that makes sense for the Doritos brand?
I want to go to Doritos Planet.
From eBay, we've already begun doing a few things that we think are pretty interesting and cool. One of them is something we've done through StubHub, which is one of the world's largest ticketing platforms with secondary market that eBay happens to own, we rolled out a virtual reality experience on StubHub about 6 months ago, where in a number of venues you can see the actual view from your seat before you purchase a ticket. And I think it's rolled out now to about 55 different venues around the US. And what it enables people to do is literally sit in the seat that they might want to purchase, see exactly what the view is, and then go ahead and purchase that ticket based on what they have experienced. And so it's a very relevant and tangible application of virtual reality that's not so gee whiz, but it's actually quite applicable to something that delivers consumer value, and we're seeing a lot of consumer uptake for that experience, and it's really a V1 experience. Something else that we did earlier this year was what we call the world's first virtual reality department store, which is something we did in partnership with a large retailer in Australia called Myer, and it gave an immersive experience, an immersive virtual reality experience that created a lot of excitement within the Australian market, and we see that as something that we'll look to in the future as opportunities to deliver more rich and engaging experiences through the eBay platform, so people can shop the way that they want to shop. And for us, the whole focus of harnessing technology is to harness it with a consumer benefit in mind. How does this create a better shopping experience, a more fun shopping experience, a more engaging shopping experience? And if we can leverage technology increasingly to do that, then that makes people come to eBay more and have a greater benefit as a result of it.
Right. It's really interesting because you can almost imagine eBay having either a set of or a single immersive reality store that very much mimics what people would have in a real life environment, but without all the heavy real estate costs. So it's really interesting what you could potentially create there.
Yeah, and just one other thing I would mention, another thing that we rolled out just this week with somewhat like a virtual reality through image recognition, we created a new destination on eBay called the eBay Collective, which is a destination for high-end antiques and furniture and design. And using image recognition technology, you can hover over images in a room that's been decorated and see products that are similar to what you're looking for through that technology. And that was based on an acquisition that we did recently. And so those are just small examples, modest examples of using technology to increasingly deliver a more immersive and a more engaging shopping experience for people.
Okay. So let's touch quickly on the cybersecurity thing, and then I'd love to hear as we wrap up what you think the most innovative thing happening in your companies are today. But on the cybersecurity front, this obviously been a huge, very topical issue, and even today there have been like rumors of outages across the web, not eBay, I'd say, but other entities. So this is clearly important, and as more of our world becomes digitally enabled, what are you guys doing in terms of approaching cybersecurity and to some extent data privacy? You want to start, Chris?
Sure. I mean, it's an issue we take very seriously. We have teams of people that are dedicated to cybersecurity within Pepsico that are keeping close eye on all of our online assets, all of our offline assets that tap into different technology resources. And so it's something that we're very conscious of. We're very thoughtful about it, and the privacy of the data, whether it's our customers' data, consumers' data, is a top priority for us. And so it's something that is very top of mind for us right now.
Customer trust is the single most important thing that any company has, and when you're a technology company, customer trust through data security is one of the most important things that you can do. And similar to what Chris and the folks at PepsiCo do, we have a huge priority and enormous amount of resources and attention focused on ensuring customer trust. It's a topic that comes up at the executive level regularly. And for us, it's the absolute most important thing that we can do. And obviously, we wouldn't disclose all of the things that we can do, because we wouldn't want to divulge those to potential bad actors. But we're constantly looking at our systems and our protocols to ensure that we're doing what we need to do to have the highest level of security for both data, but also for anything else that someone might be engaging eBay to do.
Yeah, and I suppose a lot of it must be about rapid response, because if the Pentagon is getting hacked, or like all the way up and down the spectrum, all around the world, I think a lot of it must be about how the ability to detect and respond. So let's talk about innovation for a second. So huge companies, there's probably a million things that you guys are doing that are innovative or exciting. but what stands out in your minds as the kind of most innovative thing happening inside your organizations right now?
You know, I wouldn't want to rank order anything, because the risk of doing that is that I inadvertently forget to mention something. Rather, I'll talk about something that's happened recently as a relevant example. So just 3 days ago, we launched a really interesting artificial intelligence-driven shop bot on Facebook Messenger, which brings eBay into the fabric of Facebook Messenger, powered by artificial intelligence in what we're calling conversational commerce. And for us, you know, our perspective is to make shopping as easy as talking to a friend. So we launched what's called a beta, which is we're basically piloting this, and we've exposed it to the world in a public beta in order to leverage this technology and the power of AI to again create more immersive and more engaging shopping experiences. And it's just one example.
Does the bot have a name?
It's called the eBay Shop Bot.
eBay Shop Bot.
eBay Shop Bot, and so go out there and check it out. But it's just a cool and interesting thing that we just launched this week. And one example of the many ways that we're leveraging technology, and it's not the only area within our platform where artificial intelligence is helping to create better shopping experiences for customers.
Do you kind of imagine a kind of unified AI presence for eBay in these different environments? Because there's so many different channels. So you maybe start in Messenger, but then there's probably WeChat to think about, and there's WhatsApp to think about. Do you think that would be a kind of unified presence, or would it be specialized for each of these environments?
You know, the only thing I would say without showing our hand is just watch this space.
Cool. And what about you, Chris?
You know, there's a lot of innovation that goes on throughout PepsiCo. New product developments, taking our brands out of the traditional snack aisle of the grocery store and into other new environments. Packaging developments. There's a lot of interesting things that are going on. I think one of the things that gets me excited is the process we have for developing new flavors. And a lot of people don't even realize how we do it, but we literally have a flavor innovation kitchen within our headquarters at Frito-Lay, where chefs and culinary experts build, create and cook real food that then become translated into flavors of snacks. And maybe that doesn't seem like innovation from your perspective, technology or whatever, but that's a big deal because we use real ingredients, we use real food to inspire the flavors that we're coming up with, and that's something that I'm excited about.
And it's a big deal, though. I just heard of something called lime soba the other day that somebody was talking about, and it was linking soba to lime, which seems really odd to me. I'd never heard of it. But this idea of flavor combinations that haven't been done before can sometimes really pop out, right?
Yeah, exactly. And what we're seeing is the flavor preferences of consumers are more diverse than ever before. We talk about being global and getting global. I tell you, consumers today have a global palate when it comes to flavor, and we really see that in what we're hearing from our consumers and the flavors that we're developing, and bringing different kinds of flavor profiles together that you might not expect that turn out to be big hits. And so it's exciting for us because it's allowing us to bring consumers something new and different.
Great. So we have technology innovation and tongue innovation.
Yeah, there you go.
Guys, that's Dan Stolniker with Hub Culture. Thanks so much to Dan and Chris for joining us for Cities Track on Innovation here at GetGlobal Los Angeles. You can catch more on hublive.tv. Thanks so much, guys.